Hey there, I'm Richard Eisenbeis for GameZone.com, and welcome to Big in Japan. In 1947, the University of Tokyo instituted the symbolic Doomsday Clock on the cover of the Bulletin of Anime Scientists. The closer said clock is to midnight, the closer the world would be to estimated global disaster. And by global disaster, I of course speak of the horror known only as the Moepocalypse. For those of you who have been spared the horror, Moe, coming from the Japanese word for budding,
is used to describe a character visually designed to appear on the cusp of puberty, regardless of actual age. But since in recent times it has moved from its dubious roots to outright hypersexualization of prepubescent girls, the Doomsday Clock now sits at 11:59.
So, due to my knowledge of Japanese games, I've been asked by the editors of the Bulletin to take an in-depth look at the PS3 title, Hyperdimension game Neptune, and report if it signals the start of the Moepocalypse.
Neptune is set in a world with 4 floating continents: the steampunk Lustation, the traditional fantasy Ringbox, the mushroom-themed Dewey, and the cyberpunk Planetoon. Each of these are ruled by a goddess. However, these goddesses are always in conflict. The game begins on the day when 3 of the goddesses find they have something in common. As much as they hate each other, they hate Sega more.
So after a 3-on-1 beatdown, our main character Neptune... No, that's not a sight gag. She really is an anthropomorphized version of the aborted Sega Neptune game console.
Awakens to find herself as a young preteen girl with no memory and the ability to transform. Of course, she immediately goes out to defeat monsters and stop the evil Magicon.
I'm gonna be frank here. The only thing in this game that even has the facade of originality is the concept.
Every character is little more than a pile of stereotypes, and the plot itself is so unoriginal. It can't go more than an hour without using a cliche it's already used. Example: all 3 of the goddesses pull a Clark Kent on Neptune, befriending her in their human form and fighting her in their magical girl form. Needless to say, the Clark Kent is Superman revelation blows her mind every time. The gameplay itself is equally uninspired. You run around a dungeon, get sucked into random attacks, and do a turn-based battle. In battle, you have a certain amount of total AP. Each command uses an amount of that AP. When you are out of AP, it's the next person's turn. In one of the few fresh ideas in Neptune, you are able to program in up to 64 4-part combinations of any of the attacks you've unlocked. The weirdest thing in Neptune, though, is the healing system. You can't choose to heal inside or outside of battle. Instead, you spend points to level up the chances of a chosen combination of healing reagents being used when certain conditions are met. And if it doesn't work when needed, the game comes coupled with restart current battle if you die and save anywhere features. On the world map, wait, what world map? I mean, the world menu. You can go shopping, view one of the many fully voiced event cutscenes, choose your next dungeon, or read the goddesses' blogs.
Alright, I just gotta jump in here. These blogs are genius in how true to life they are. Allow me to translate.
I read a book until late last night. I didn't get enough sleep. I'm sleepy.
Brilliant!
On the visual side, there are only about 10 dungeons in Neptune. All the rest are palette swaps or slight redesigns. The battle graphics could have been done on the PS2, and the event scenes are just character art on top of a painted background. The weirdest thing, though, is how the characters breathe. It's always in a constant rhythm, whether they've just finished an exhaustive battle or just waking up. The worst is when they're having a conversation, since as people normally only talk on an out-breath, such body movement is unnatural and unnerving. Oh, and did I mention that aside from the main characters, everyone is presented as nothing but a shadow in a box? That's not lazy, I promise! Believe it or not, the sound is the true star of Neptune. It's chock full of famous Japanese voice talent, and each and every one gives an A+ performance. Each conversation has such energy that it makes playing the boring dungeons worth it just to get the next event. Which is why it's totally unexcusable to have 10% of the game unvoiced. Why would you undercut yourself like that?
Hyperdimension game Neptune is hands down the worst PS3 title I've ever purchased. The story is one joke written into the ground, the characters are one-dimensional cliches, the gameplay is boring and repetitive, the battle system is uselessly complicated, the graphics are an embarrassment to the PS3, and frankly, this game is so backwards that it could have been made on the PS1 and still been nearly identical to what it is today. But you know the worst part of Neptune, the absolute worst part? I enjoyed every moment of it. This game was just so bad, so unrepentantly terrible, that I was stuck in this perpetual state of hysterical disbelief. But for anyone else, be thankful that this game is unplayable to the non-Japanese speaking, and hope, despite rumors to the contrary, that it will never leave Japanese shores. Finally, how bad is the sleazy moe pandering in this game? Will I recommend that the doomsday clock be set forward 1 minute to signal the end of days? Let's run it down.
Every time a battle ends, you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting a panty shot. Every time you use Neptune's special skill, you get a panty shot. Every time you meet a new main character, which are all of course female, you get a provocative still frame, and of course any time any of the goddesses transform, you see them in a skin-tight, skin-colored bodysuit.
Honestly, that's not so bad. On the creepy moe scale, this game only ranks somewhere in between the original Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon. Heck, if you compare this to the suggestive udder spray of Tears to Tiara, or the banana eating of Record of Aragast War, it's positively tame. So, while my recommendation will be to keep the doomsday clock at 11:59, keep your guard up, and know that it's only a matter of time until the Moepocalypse.